Let me start by saying this, okay? Everybody's going to bring one work. Jerry, can you do what you were doing before because it was so awesome? Thank you. Let me start by saying this. Everybody is going to bring one work of popular culture into this class at one point or another to participate and to contribute something that they enjoy into classroom conversations. It'll be casual, but at the same time, it's something we want to do at some point. I happen to really, really like this particular song, but we need to know what type of text we're bringing in. In this case, I specifically want to talk about the music video. So not just the song, but the entire thing, okay? So we can start by saying the act, what type of text it is a music video, right? Tell me whether or not that is enough information to satisfy my pain in the ass self, your teacher. Is that enough?
Too broad.
Too broad. So tell me more. What type of music video is it? Somebody who hasn't spoken yet on this one.
Say it's like a pop or like a rock kind of music video.
Pop or rock fun, okay? We've got pop or rock. Samantha, am I to understand that you are saying, in effect, it's fairly pleasant, unless I play it the way I played it at the very beginning. It was fairly pleasant to hear. Okay, so one thing we can say right away in terms of making a connection between the two is catchy, right? Or tuneful, or something like that, okay? Hey, guys, we will talk about this in depth, but is it punk? Arzam, you're nodding your head. I gotta ask you why you're nodding your head.
The lyrics just seem very punk and rebellious.
Punk and rebellious. Okay. Punk, and we'll focus on lyrics. What about is that punk? Taylor Swift generally doesn't open songs with that kind of a vibe. Personally, I would love to hear Taylor Swift do that. I love it when musicians who are considered pop go out into harder rock material while still saying ear pleasant. One of my favorite songs of all time is Black Cat by Janet Jackson, okay? I'm dating myself here because of the whole nipple thing. Janet Jackson kind of got written off the face of the earth because she showed her nipple at the Super Bowl once. It's a whole story from another time. But Black Cat, great song from when she was at her peak. Lyrics are what make it punk. Anybody on the music? Again, setting aside the fact that we had enough that I could have killed one of your eardrums at the beginning and pretend I played it at a reasonable volume from the beginning. Is the music punk? Just the tune. There's no right answer. Oh, by the way, guys, here's a little jingle that I like to employ from time to time. I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer. There isn't a definitive answer to this kind of a question, right? I would have to be a horrible human being if I claimed to have a definitive answer as to whether or not something like this was punk. So, Ian, what do you think?
I would gonna say yeah.
Okay.
Because it kind of sounds like Green Day. But Green Day is also rock, so I would consider them kind of like punk-ish.
Green Day is an interesting case. I was talking about Avril Lavigne before. Green Day and Avril Lavigne are very different, as are Green Day and Nirvana. All three of those acts I just mentioned, hugely popular. Here's something you might not necessarily know about this song. This is the only hit this particular group ever had. Let's talk about now who they are. Here's where it gets a little tricky, right? Who are Harvey Danger, the band which brought you Flagpole Sit-Up, which is the name of this song? Who are they? We've called them punk and pop.
Boy band.
Boy band. What the hell does boy band mean, Michael? No, it's okay. I didn't mean that like take it back, take it back. I mean, what is a boy band?
In terms of like just musical composition stuff like that, it's just a grouping style, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything to their.
So as soon as we get Ava, Michelle, and Samantha out of the room, the rest of us could form a boy band. But with instruments and is Green Day a boy band?
Some people would say yes, some people probably not.
What say you? Non-boy band potentialities of the room. Is Green Day a boy? Okay, The Weeknd.
I don't know anything about bands.
Damn, what am I gonna do here?
But it's also a level to which they all contribute into the actual style of
Oh, yeah?
music. So whereas like The Weeknd, I feel like The Weeknd is more pulling into a single artist, and then the actual backing track.
See, I don't know shit about The Weeknd specifically, aside from the fact that my son, the double bass player, just did an instrumental performance of Blinding Lights, and it was super fucking awesome, and that whole thing. So like, I'm a Weeknd fan for life now because of that. But hey, I think what Ava said is significant. Not knowing anything about bands. That kind of leads us to the following point. When we're talking about the where and when, okay, of this particular text, one thing that we're talking about is a period where people talked about bands on the whole more than they used to. I noticed the fact that Ava didn't say, I don't know anything about music or anything like that. It was bands, right? What's the biggest rock band on the planet right now? 2024. Anyone?
Nirvana.
Oh, okay, so I would probably dispute that, but I think Arzan is proving a really good point. Nirvana is a band where the main person in that band, and by the way, like Nirvana couldn't be called a boy band because Kurt Cobain wrote almost everything for that band. He offed himself in 1994, okay? Long before this even came out. Arzan says biggest rock band in the world. Holy mother of God, I'm old. That was 30 years ago, okay? Stop and take a beat there for a second and think about why what Ava said is valuable, right? Rock bands as a thing are not as significant in our culture as they used to be. Coming back to the fact that this was kind of a one-hit wonder, as they're called, let's talk about what this song is about. You are allowed to pull up the lyrics.
What's the song called again? Flagpole?
Flagpole Sitta. And we will get into what that's a reference to.
Yeah, alternative indie rock. Interesting.
Fingertips like memories. I can't forget the curves of your body. And when I feel a bit naughty, I run it up the flagpole to see who salutes but no one ever does. What's that a reference to? Let's put it this way. I kind of wish I waited until tomorrow to ask that particular question because we talked about what the gender breakdown of the room will be tomorrow. It's the masturbation reference. Correct? Now, Green Day's first big song contained a gigantic and very explicit reference to masturbation, including the word. Okay? So take that for whatever it's worth. That song was a big hit in its own right, too. What else is this song about?
Mental illness.
Yeah, what's fun about that, Jerry, is they put me in the hospital for nerves and then they had to commit me. You told them all I was crazy. They cut off my legs. Now I'm an amputee, GDU. Okay? Notice I bleeped out that particular word the same as they did in that music video. But here's the thing about that. If I stood up in front of this class and said, you know, guys, when it comes to mental wellness, right? If you guys go and see a psychiatrist, they're going to put you in a hospital and they're going to cut off your limbs. What would happen to me? Would I get away with it? Okay, I'll share for the record, I am a person who contends with and is medicated for bipolar disorder. I have been for just about as long as this song has been around. A little bit longer, actually. In addition to ADHD and certain other things, my family contends with that stuff on a regular basis, okay? One thing about this song is there's no doubt it depicts mental wellness care in an extremely negative light, right? It makes it sound like, we live in a society of irresponsible psychiatrists and psychologists who are walking around locking people up and chopping off their legs, right? Take that for whatever it's worth. I think that brings us back to the scene. This is a song that, I'll throw out a word you kids are nuts about, cancellation, right? If somebody came out with this song in this day and age and it got big, it would get them canceled. You can't really write about mental wellness care like this anymore. This is a clue, a real key to tie us into back when this was written. It was actually a little taboo to even say that about mental wellness care in the late 90s. Okay? What else is this song about? Mental health care depicted very negatively, a really taboo masturbation reference. What else?
Boredom.
Boredom. Why would you write a song that really rocks about being bored?
The 90s were a big isolationist period.
Yeah, we really were. We were a bunch of whiny people. These were like my high school years and everything like that, right? I thought Kurt Cobain spoke to me on like a deep level. I was Kurt Cobain. He was the voice of my generation, okay? I've been around the world and found that only stupid people are greedy. How do you feel about that lyric, somebody who hasn't talked yet? Positive, negative, neutral. Is it true? You all speak very highly of your parents, for example. I haven't heard anybody saying, like, I wish I could change places with my parents so that I could whack myself in the head 20 times or something. So there's a lyric. Been around the world and found that only stupid people are greedy. How do we feel about who this person is? Whoever wrote that line of the lyrics. What does that tell you about who they are? Are they upbeat? Happy?
No.
What are they?
They seem to be jealous.
Jealous of what?
People that are breeding.
Okay, so now we get into the music video for a second. That guy does not look like a rock star. Correct? What's funny is today he's actually a music critic. Okay? Tell me more about, let's assume the singer wrote that line. I don't know whether he did or not, but let's assume he did. Tell me more about him. Does he try to look like a rock star? In your opinions? He could just, that could be just like the best he can possibly do at looking like a rock star. I don't know.
His like motions look like he's trying to be a rock star.
He's jumping up and down and he's shaking his head and he's rocking, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Remember, the text is our music video. Why would you, I mean, he's a tall dude, right? Probably a little heavy, although he doesn't look like massively out of shape or anything. He is jumping up and down and rocking out. Is it his goal to be, right, like somebody who's breeding? It's funny that my head went to, is he a rock star, when Ava suggested he's not breeding, right? One thing that we have, one common assumption we have about rock stars is sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? They have a lot of sex, right? Therefore, they're breeding, therefore, they're happy. We can get into that, right? Here's my point, guys. So far, we're staying in the text and just talking about the text for the most part. But I got this word for you up here, punk, okay? The most important lyric in the entire song, as far as I'm concerned, Jerry pointed at this just a little bit, is this. In the third verse, I hear the voices in my head. I swear to God, it sounds like they're snoring. But if you're bored, then you're boring. Okay? When you do your podcast for this class, if you are bored at all by what you're doing, your podcast will suck. Okay? Simply put, if when you do your assignments, it's pretty much true for the entirety of UNC, at least if your teachers are giving you good assignments, what you do, okay, absolutely should be something you are compelled by. Okay? But in this particular case, he talks about if you're bored, then you're boring. Okay? If this guy was sitting here right now, again, let's assume the huge dude jumping up and down wrote these lyrics, sat down right now, I'd say that's the one line that I want you all to take away from this, okay? Because it's critically important that you not be bored, right, when you do your work. Now, let me ask you this. Show of hands, who thinks Sonnet 18, I erased that stuff. Which poem is more interesting, Sonnet 18 or When My Daughter Tells Me I Was Never Punk? Show of hands for Sonnet 18. Everybody's on When My Daughter Tells Me I Was Never Punk. Okay? A lot of the point of what we're doing in here, guys, right, is we need to find texts that compel you all to talk and to do original, interesting work. Okay? More to the point, I bring this up for a reason. This is a lyric within this music video, okay? And it proves and it serves a purpose for our broader conversation outside of just that song and that video, okay? Guys, this video for this song, this was a band that had one hit in the late 90s. Had anybody in this class heard that song at all? It's a great fucking song, as a matter of fact. And for whatever it's worth, if you set aside everything else, it's a great rock song. It's exciting, and for somebody like me, from a scene standpoint, you know what it is? It's the last great rock song of the 90s. It's also a song that kind of puts up a mirror to the 1990s and kind of tells us that we've been full of shit the whole time. Okay? If Kurt Cobain was your hero, chances are you as an individual were kind of full of shit. Because Kurt Cobain was a self-loathing drug addict. He was a great songwriter. He was a really good musician. He wrote some great stuff, but he shouldn't be your hero. I mean, the guy killed himself at 27, and frankly, he had a baby daughter and, you know, a lot of fans who wanted to hear more out of him. To me, Flagpole City, if you really get into it, is about the fact that the 90s were really played out, okay? At the end of the day, he's writing about masturbation and boredom and about getting locked up in a mental... But all of these things, right, relate, you know, to what the 90s were like. More to the point, this is a good way for me to humanize myself with you guys. This is a reality of my era, okay? Flagpole Sitta absolutely serves a concrete purpose because I need you all to understand where I'm coming from. I realized at a certain point in my life, I had to be able to do something more where I felt like I was giving out, okay, and going further out as opposed to just looking into the mirror, okay? That's like the first line in the entire song, right? So I give this guy credit for, and this band credit for, coming up with a song where they're saying, can we get out of all of this, right? And if you watch the music video, they're trying to, you know, they're walking through a crowd of all these people being so damn trendy, okay? In fact, they're being trendy in ways that you guys don't even recognize, okay? There's a guy wearing a Cat in the Hat hat. I think they started bringing those shits back recently, but that's just because that's what they do, right? Things work in cycles. But if you look at the people in that video, they represent all the different periods from the 1990s. And this guy is sort of coming up with a song about the 90s are stupid. Okay? So, there's a reason why we've looked at this stuff today, and that's that we need to come up with digital compositions which are applicable. I, as your teacher, am a dude from the 90s who's going to be working with you, people who are not dudes from the 90s, in order to create original material. Now, first of all, we have not taken a single break in our 90-minute class once yet, and we're 2 days in. Second of all, yesterday was syllabus day, and I made you guys stay until 11:15. So, here's my thought. For homework tonight, here's what I want you to do. I want you to first listen to Old Town Road by Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus. And then I want you to watch the music video. And then third, this is the only part that's even a little bit tricky, I want you to find this YouTuber and his response to Old Town Road. Okay? So, listen first just to the song, then watch the video, and then watch the commentary of this guy. Frankly, I hope you enjoy him as much as I do. He is, however, kind of a 90s guy, right? He could relate to some of the things that I was saying, all right, about being somebody from the 90s and the things we realized were stupid, etc. Okay? When we come back into it tomorrow, we're going to talk about the impact that social media has on popular culture, the impact that digital compositions, multimedia compositions have on us. Because, right, as we know, Old Town Road by itself, that song by itself, promise me you will listen to the whole song one time from start to finish, no visual accompaniment, just listen to the song. There's a reason I'm asking you to do that. By the time you get done with it, you're going to feel weird. Listening to Old Town Road by itself, it's a kind of fascinating facet of popular culture because by itself, it's a strange thing to experience. Okay. Now, the other things that we're going to do tomorrow, we may do some pop culture inclusions, and I'm going to introduce the major projects. I will make a video like the one that I've been working on today. Everybody say bye to Uma.
Bye, Uma.
Okay, we're going to do another video so that, Ava, Michelle, and Samantha Uma can be on top of what you guys need to do for Monday and Tuesday. The four of you stick around for a minute so we can talk about pop culture inclusions and you can decide whether or not you'd like to do one tomorrow. Okay? As for the three of you, I will send you the video so you know what you need to do for Monday. And I'll also send you the video so you have a pretty clear idea of what the major assignments will be. That'll be the heart of what we do tomorrow, okay? And that way also, if anybody does a pop culture inclusion tomorrow, you'll get to see it, okay? All right, so that wraps up